Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to the Plaid Sheep Oracle. Scorpio, this reading is about wealth. I'm actually going to start with the underlying card because I think it's being framed by things. Two things on either side. So we have this fail. It's the first rune in the Elder Futhard. Usually signifies wealth. It's a symbol of livestock. So if you had, back in the day, a lot of livestock, you had a lot of wealth. Now, at the bottom is hell. And not the Christian hell, but the realm of the dead and the name of the goddess Hel. And then the card that came out is Hagal, also known as Hagalaz. That usually means the storm, hail. So it has a kind of tower feeling to it a little bit. But it struck me, of course, immediately, as I'm sure it strikes you, the similarity of these two runes. There is something that wants to be removed. Or perhaps integrated. So that rather than there being two, there become one. So we have here the Hermit, and right below him is the star, actually. And what I find so interesting is that this means there are two stars. So there's a star that's in his lantern that he's actually not looking at. And then there's this other star. So there are two when there needs to be just one. The bottom of the deck has the Hanged Man, who is about perspective, but he's also about gaining wisdom. And he's related to this rune deck in that the Hanged Man is often seen as Odin, who hung himself in Yggdrasil for 9 days and also gave up his eye in order to gain the secret of the runes. So there is wisdom. There is the ability to maybe do a thing that's unusual. I don't actually think that it's about sacrifice as such. You know, you're not being asked to give up an eyeball. But there is something that will need to be released, given up, relinquished. It might even be suffering that you have to give up. And I think it's going to be different for everybody, because I actually asked for some clarification on that, and I got different things. I got the Seven of Wands, which can be defensiveness, it can be resistance, it can be, kind of isolation of oneself. It can be, refusing to see something. She's not looking at all of these wands down here. She's kind of got herself in a bubble. In a spiritual sense, it might be bypassing something. ignoring something. And then the second, Seven of Cups, so confusion. You know, the too many things, maybe, you know, not really knowing what you want because you're chasing the wrong thing. You know, I don't know, say you've been to law school and you're trying to decide what kind of law you want to pursue. Do you want to be, you know, a corporate lawyer or a criminal attorney or a family attorney? And you just cannot decide. And the reason that you can't decide is because you shouldn't be an attorney at all. Right? So there's confusion because you're in the wrong place. You know, you're in the frozen yogurt shop when really you want ice cream or cake or, you know, a hamburger. You want, right? You're in the wrong place. And then the third card is the Nine of Swords. Straight up fear, anxiety, catastrophizing, general negative thinking, perhaps being caught up in the past, being caught up in past mistakes, self-attack, all of these kinds of things. So I don't know quite what it is exactly for you individually, Scorpio. You're gonna, you know, if you don't know what it is, you're gonna figure it out. And you may indeed know what it is. And so you have here this Knight of Discs. He's actually the king, sits in the king slot in this deck. And is associated also, interestingly, with Virgo. So there may be something with this kind of Virgo energy, right, with this hermit who's not paying attention to his own star. He's staring at somebody else's. Maybe it's a star that he had when he was young. Maybe it's his family's star or the societal star, whatever it is. And this, right, Virgo can, you know, it has that earth, even though it's a mutable sign, it does have that stick-to-itiveness that earth signs have. The steadiness, the loyalty that earth signs have. And Scorpio, you are a fixed sign. I think Scorpio actually has a lot to do with loyalty as well. So it may be that you are being loyal to something when you don't need to. It's not something that needs your loyalty. If it's a profession, a place you're living, something, a way of being, it doesn't need your loyalty. And even your family, you know, if they expect you to be an attorney, you don't owe them that. You owe them care, you owe them respect. Perhaps you owe being there when somebody needs you. But you don't owe them your life. You don't owe them, you know, what you want to do with yourself. And it feels to me as if this knight is sort of coming to a realization. He's having an epiphany, sitting up there on his horse. And he's looking off into this glow, into this sunrise, the sun coming up. And the next card is wealth. But it's also the 10 of Pentacles. Here it is the tree of life, completed. There may have been, I don't believe that anything ever is purposeless or useless. You know, if we kind of go over here, when, you know, our ultimate goal is over here, there's lots of good stuff that we learn about over here. We may gain wisdom. I mean, maybe, you know, law school taught you a bunch of things that will stand you in good stead as you know, move on into the rest of your life. It could come in really handy. You don't even know. But it's complete. And so then we get the Prince of Discs, associated with Taurus, but here he's much more, right, he's moving. You know, this guy is just standing still. But the Prince is on the move. And if you've ever seen a bull go from stillness to full out moving, you know that, you know, you should get out of the way. This is strong movement, and the movement is into power. And into, you know, this is, right, it's, of course, it's a, right, it's like a little fortress. There's a little, you know, moat going on here. And so it's like coming home to your space, to your fortress, your palace. Power lies in your space, not in chasing somebody else's star. So the next card is Beloved. And this feels directly like your wider self and source speaking to you. Speaking to you sweetly, you are the beloved. They know what your trials and tribulations have been. They also know what is possible. And the bottom of the deck is the medicine wheel. The healing that is happening. And below this beloved is lightning. So this, right, this Hagal storm tower energy. But not in a way, you know, that will blow anything up. But that might be a radical change. And then these three cards are a bit, they're kind of an explanation or a method. There's the rattle, which I see as conjuring energy. Like rattling to call something in. The rattle is often seen as something that, you know, may clear a space. But it is also something to call something in. And there is a yes and energy of both things. And I think that perhaps more than a removal, that this is an integration, a combining of these two things. And it may be, you know, a combining of the two stars as well. Because we also have this completion here, right? This full circle, coming full circle. So whatever these two stars are, there is some way for them to come together. And that it may be the child self that is the key. Right? So this clearing, summoning, to bring in inspiration, to bring in assistance, to bring in energy. And then the child. And in fact, the summoning might bring the child. These are both a 7 card for 43 and then 7. There may be something that you did as a child that games you played, something you wanted to be when you were a child. If somebody had asked you when you were 9, what do you want to be? What did you say? That may be directly related to how to combine these two stars, integrating them into something whole. So going to law school was important, but not for the reason that you sort of told yourself. There was something that you gained there that will now be integral to this combined star. And again, I don't know what this is for you. I don't know what you've been doing or what it is that you think you want to do. You're gonna, that is gonna be your thing to figure out, to come into understanding. And I don't think, that there's this book that you may know about called, now I don't even know the exact title. It's something about a parachute. Essentially the idea was you would, there was textual material, and then there were sort of questionnaires where it would ask you to write down all the things you were interested in. And the idea was that you would form a kind of Venn diagram of these things in order to find out what it was that you were, supposed to be, or what you would really like to do, what would be, a good career for you. But I don't think that that's actually how you should do this. That's actually kind of this Virgo, perhaps, or distorted Virgo way of doing the thing. You want to lean more into Scorpio, which is not about making lists. So we have strength. This, right, thinking from the heart. Right, speaking to your heart. And then there's this, right, there's this fear here. And it's also, getting curious about the fear. What is the fear about? Because sometimes fear can really tell you things about what you actually want to be doing. What are you terrified of? And why? And actually, below this we have introspection. And then interestingly, we have this page of Pentacles with manifestation. And actually, I'm just going to show him because I can, the magician below that. But this page is interesting because when I asked about this and I got those 3 answers, what was on the face up of the deck is the Page of Pentacles. And then the bottom of the deck was the Chariot. So how to begin, right? What is the beginning? So the beginning, I would say, is to, if you haven't so far, and you may even be in this process, and this is just a confirmation for you, but that you want to think about these things. You want to think about fear, as well as what really turns you on. And is there maybe something about what turns you on that makes you afraid as well? Now, the bottom of the deck started with the Lovers, of course. Choices made from love. But then next to that is the Ace of Cups, then the King of Discs with power, right? And he's in a different space than he is here. He is at home. He's got the world tucked under his arm. And then Perspective, the Hangman. So what is it? Interrogate, well, not interrogating, questioning, speaking to, conversing with your heart, with your spirit, with the fire within. Drinking your own cup. What is it that's in your own cup? And that might be an interesting sort of shamanic journey. To take a journey to drink what is in your own cup, what is in your heart grail. And the Ace of Cups is actually appearing twice more face up on my decks. So then we have culmination with the Nine of Pentacles. And then vision with the Three of Wands. And then the Hierophant, more earthiness, more Taurus energy, traditionally. But I think actually I feel like he straddles Taurus and Scorpio. Because he is bringing the spiritual to earth. And that is the Scorpio-Taurus axis. Personal authority, not being concerned with somebody else's star. And personal spiritual authority particularly. This may have that component. Maybe you did a yoga teacher training, but don't really want to teach yoga. Maybe the yogic philosophy isn't even really it. It might be that a different philosophy really attracts you. Taoism, or, a more Western esoteric tradition. But that there is some way to take those two things and combine them. And then we have dedication. The discipline, the dedication, the devotion to this integration, to this new direction, to your new star. And so where does that lead you? Well, to this lovely Ace of Cups, to feeling like this, and below her, the Six of Swords, right? These are all, kind of beautiful images of, feeling connected, of being in communion, here with one's own body, one's own desires, and here with Source. And then we also below that have justice, Right here is a powerful image. At the base of this deck, we have the Six of Cups. And this always comes through for me as leaving home. Choosing to leave home. So choosing, you leave that space. You know, it may be that you've been on this path since you were a child, especially if it's something like law or medicine or particular religious path. These things can begin when we're children. We get kind of turned in a particular direction and we go. But the beauty of it is that nothing is ever wrong. That if you had, known out of the gates that you wanted to, follow Taoism, that might have been beautiful. But even following a yogic philosophy first and then entering up as Taoism is also beautiful. So it's important to not feel like anything has been wasted or there's been a failing or that you've been, weak or any of these things. This, right? You are the beloved. I've been saying that we shouldn't, use the computer game avatar idea for our human existences. That isn't, I don't believe that is how it is. I mean, I have in my darker moments, it has, seemed that way to me. That my human self was kind of sacrificed so that Source could have some particular experience. But I don't, when I feel well, when I feel joyful and in alignment, that is not how it seems. I don't believe that is true. I believe that we are beloved, but that we have free will, and that every experience is beautiful to Source. So, what's the result? Well, of course, the Magician. And then you showing up as the King of Cups. I have a friend who's volunteering at the Olympic Games in Paris, and she had a post this morning about going to see a water polo game, and this dude would totally fit right in with the water polo guys. This King of Cups in his element. And then both the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles. Here, not as a completion, but as a celebration. Right? Recognizing beauty, feeling the light on the skin. And here, this is very Magician. Actually, this is another example. That maybe you've been a different sort of magician. Maybe you are combining magicians to end up with this one. Right, because we've had two of them now. There was this one down here. Right, integrating these two. And having that. who's, you know, sort of cool and eccentric, and I'm old enough to think of Johnny Carson doing his Kreskin act. So humor, too, wants to come through. Having fun. Not being so serious about it all, Scorpio. Formal advice. Well, we have the Chariot. And the Chariot is moving rapidly away from both the Three of Swords and this Ten of Pentacles. So there does seem to be really an element of family or some structure that you were adhering to, your family, your community, a religious order, something that you are moving away from, Scorpio. That this integration is going to take you away from that. You're gonna have your own individual fabulousness. Now, the bottom of this deck, we have the King of Wands, Master of Inspiration. The Eight of Cups, being prepared to leave and move on to something else, to follow, right? To follow the river to where it takes you. This Knight of Pentacles, right? Moving purposely, being dedicated. And then the Hanged Man one more time. So if you are, I mean, in this case, right, it's cutting yourself down. Cutting yourself down. You know, kind of what we want. See if we can find it in here. There she is. We want that. This Hanged Muse. Totally able to move. She's not attached to anything. She can go where she likes. She's just, right? She goes, she hangs there, get a new perspective, let the blood rush to her head for a bit, and then she's off. So then we have the Page of Pentacles reappearing again. Being a student. And the callback to the child. What did you love? What did you want to do? And then the Nine of Wands. If you're kind of stuck here, if you find yourself, and this could be either, right? It could be either you being stuck at the end of your village, if we want to call it that, this village that you've been living in. If you've kind of come to the borders and you right, you can't quite bring yourself to cross, or you're hesitating. Or alternatively, if you've arrived at the new space and you're feeling a little insecure about stepping into this new village, what we have is Justice showing up again. This harmony, remembering, seeing how these things combine, how they can be harmonious with one another. How everything that you have been and learned and done and experienced can be in complete harmony with this new idea, new venture, new space that you have. And then the Empress, be the Empress. There's so much earth energy here, Scorpio. There is a kind of call across the way. Uranus has been moving through Taurus across the way from you, challenging you to make changes, to innovate, to do new things, to expand, right? This lightning energy that is here. And that earth energy is there for you. Stability, steadiness, but also fertility. The soil ready to grow the new thing. And you as the Empress, your job is to receive it. Scorpio, combine your stars. There is a way, there is a beautiful way. And if you can speak to your heart, to your spirit, drink from your own grail, you will see it. Or at least you will see how to begin. I don't know, you may not even want to see the whole thing. It might be sort of beautiful to have it, kind of unfold in front of you over the course of months or even years. I wish you the very, very best, Scorpio. I hope that you feel yourself as the beloved. And that you will be well and joyful. And I will see you next time. So long.